Patrick Williams was viewed as the next Kawhi Leonard in his 2020 draft class, although not starting a single game in his collegiate career. That's probably one of the worst comparisons that I've heard in the past 10 years, but today we're going to be looking at the worst draft comparison for every year. Hopefully not every year, so let's hop into it.
In honor of the recent NBA draft, we're going back and looking at the worst draft day comparisons from every single year since 2000. And we're getting all of our comparisons today from NBADraft.net and using the ones they provided. There's some that are bad, some that are terrible,
and some that are downright awful. I don't know why I did that.
Leading up to the 2000 NBA draft, NBADraft.net had Hasheem Stevenson's draft day comparison as Michael Jordan, which many fans have labeled as
Look in the camera. Who?
As the worst comparison of all time. Listen, I think it's no coincidence that Hasheem was also then taken with a 23rd overall pick that year, but that's the only connection that
why would they say that, dude?
He idolized Kobe and modeled his game after him, but he was coming into the league at a high school. Not only did they compare someone to MJ, but they compared a high school kid to him. Then he went and averaged 11, 3, and 1 in his best season, mostly known as a role player and a decent defender. Apparently what they saw in him early on was that he was a great dunker and an extremely gifted athlete who was an advanced scorer for his age. But obviously there wasn't that much upside. In 2001 we keep things rolling and it stays bad, and Eddie Curry was another player scouted and drafted out of high school. Well, he went 4th overall thanks to his comparison being Shaq. I get it, he was a 7-foot 300-pound high school kid, so of course he dominated all the other kids, and that was enough for scouts.
In hindsight, that's not a bad comparison given his size and how dominant he was before the NBA. That's in hindsight, bro. Okay, I mean, in hindsight, it's a bad pick. But at that moment, I could, it's understandable seeing him being like 7'2", pushing 300 pounds, a dominant interior presence. That's not a stretch. That's not a stretch like Michael Jordan. That wasn't a stretch like the last one. But I can
would be like Shaq, and that would carry over to the league. Honestly, he was a solid center for a couple years, but definitely no Shaq, and it was just a cheap comparison to make. Also in 2001, Kwame Brown was coming into the NBA.
Kwame Brown,
Malone, and Chris Webber. So basically the size of Malone with the versatility of Chris, which as we know didn't happen at all. And that was 2 top 4 picks this year picked based solely off their size. Now 2002 is full of some of the most terrible picks imaginable, so I'll run through these a little quicker. Yao Ming, the 7'6" first overall pick, was compared to Rick Smits. I feel like this was just based
I don't even know who Rick Smits is.
Player based on his size. DeJuan Wagner was decent in high school and college, while his NBA career ended because of injuries after only 100 games. He still should have never been compared to Allen Iverson though. Amari Stoudemire's comparison doesn't make sense at all looking back, seeing that it was Ben Wallace, and they just keep going downhill. We all remember Nene, right? Solid traditional.
I can see Ben Wallace.
Came off the bench.
I mean,
Hakeem Olajuwon, and the only similarities that these two have is that they're
black. That they're black. That's the only two things that them niggas got in common is that they're black. Nothing else. Comparing Nene to Hakeem Olajuwon is crazy. It's crazy. He said, "Oh, dark skinned centers." He's Hakeem Olajuwon. Get him in here. Get him in here right now. That's nasty.
When he was in the NBA, he was like a Gordon Hayward type player, but before the draft, he was compared to
Larry
Bird. In 2003,
I can see that comparison.
Infamously overhyped and thought to be the next Dirk Nowitzki, which is just sad and stupid.
I can see that comparison as well.
Happened by now, scouts lost all credibility when comparing Dwight Howard to Kwame Brown. I don't get
it.
Kwame,
and then underhyped
him to compare Dwight
Damn,
Howard
that's crazy.
to a Hall of Fame level player. Just can't get anything right. In 2005, there weren't a ton of terrible comparisons, but at first, for the first half of his career,
Darren Williams
to Andre Miller did look like it, but then the second half of Darren's career, he was looking a lot more like Andre. So, I mean, it only took them 10 years, but I will say they eventually got this one right. One of the most infamous comparisons of all time came in 2006. Now listen, I get it. Adam Morrison seemed like a star in Gonzaga. He had some wild games and led the NCAA in scoring his final year. But it's these dudes.
Oh my god, this camera quality is terrible.
The next Larry Bird.
Hey, they just love giving white people who can shoot the ball a Larry Bird title. If that's the case, every white person that's over 6'5" and that can shoot the basketball is going to be compared to Larry Bird. That's just what I'm seeing. That's just what I'm seeing right now.
only play 2 seasons in the NBA before he was gone. Then he went to play overseas for only 2 more seasons before
He might not be
retiring at
taller than
27.
6'5" though.
Man, what a turn of events.
Yeah, he might be a little short.
Gerald Green to Tracy McGrady straight out of high school.
I can see that. Yeah, because he's athletic. I see that. You don't see that? I see that. I can see that comparison. That's not a good comparison, but that's probably one of the better comparisons that we've seen in this video, solely based off of his athleticism. That's not a bad comparison. I like that. I like that.
Athleticism and ability to get to the basket with ease. I mean, it makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Overall prospect in high school.
It's not like it's a bad take.
High lottery pick too, but only gave workouts to certain teams, so he dropped down in the draft. So he had everyone fooled, and it shows why most teams still need to see players go to college first. In 2007, Greg Oden deserved to be at least a top 2 pick in that draft, based on how good he was in college. And not even looking at his NBA career, I still feel like comparing him to a cross between David Robinson and Bill Russell was way
David Robinson and Bill Russell.
How good did you think this dude was gonna be? For 2008.
Whoa, that's kind of a stretch though, because injuries did plague his career. So I'm gonna let that slide. I'm gonna let 2007 slide.
Something about the difference between college and the NBA that throws a lot of players off. Like Michael Beasley. He was a dominant Beasley 1 year at Kansas. It's hard to argue that he didn't deserve to be drafted 2nd overall that year. So NBA scouts were comparing him to Carmelo Anthony, and that was terrible at the time. Now, looking back, he was just never that guy in the league. Moving ahead to 2009, Hasheem Thabeet was a 7'3" foreign monster defender.
But they compared him to Shaq. Wait, they either compared him to Shaq, Hakeem, I want to say Kareem, but I'm not going to say Kareem. They either compare him to Shaq, Hakeem, or Bill Russell.
And can the league stop getting fooled by these players? The defense and shot usually doesn't translate to the league. It didn't for Nerlens Noel, Porzingis, and probably won't Chet Holmgren either. Which is why they should have known not to compare Hasheem to Dikembe Mutombo.
Dikembe! Oh, he averaged 4 blocks! I
should have known better.
Oh, I'm so stupid.
The worst was scouts and NBADraft.net comparing Evan Turner to Brandon Roy. They spent his entire draft talking about how amazing of a scorer he was, similar to Brandon. Then he came in the league and barely ever
stunk it up.
Double digits. Another bad 2010 comparison was comparing Greg Monroe to Lamar Odom. Yes, because the 260-pound center was going to come in the league and play like Lamar Odom. Apparently he could and did do it all in college, with passing, scoring, rebounding, blocking shots, and getting steals, but in the NBA we only saw 2 of those. The 2011 draft day comparison of saying Enes Kanter was going to be like Al Horford is just laughable and makes no sense even for at the time. 2012 must have been a great year for scouts losing their jobs, because here's what we had. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist getting compared to Andre Iguodala, Jeremy Lamb and Reggie Miller, and Draymond Green and Jared Dudley. I mean, come on. The one that obviously stands out here is Jeremy Lamb and Reggie Miller. And scouts really thought
Jeremy Lamb and Reggie Miller is crazy.
2013, and here's a couple of the worst ones in the past decade right away. Scouts thought Giannis was going to be a player like
Nicholas Batum.
I mean, I see it, but he's only been like 1,000 Batum. And it's their job to have seen that coming. Well, Ben McLemore was.
I mean, no, honestly, it's their job to see that coming, but nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw what Giannis was going to be able to do. Giannis came in as a what was he, like 6'9", 6'10"? He was a twig at the moment. I mean, at that time, he was a twig. He didn't gain like 3 inches, put on like 50 pounds of muscle. Nobody saw Giannis to be this type of player. You can't blame the scouts for that one. You can't blame him for that one.
The league, they thought he was going to be like a Ray Allen, which was never even close to coming true. He's a decent shooter, but he's at the end of most benches in the league. For 2014, apparently Dante Exum was supposed to be the next Penny Hardaway.
Dante Exum.
He was similar to Penny Hardaway after he got injured. With 2015, there was just some terrible takes. Sam Decker being the next Gordon Hayward, and Emmanuel Mudiay being the next John Wall. Both of which are now under 30 years old and playing overseas. I mean, Emmanuel Mudiay.
I like Emmanuel Mudiay.
Athleticism to John
Yeah.
Wall. You see him out on the court.
Didn't he get injured?
But that was about it. Then we get to 2016.
No?
And
Okay.
Well.
Benjamin
Simmons. Compared to LeBron James and Lamar Odom.
That's not a bad look. Like I'm gonna say again, in hindsight, yes, that is a terrible comparison. But at the time, and even his first couple of seasons, he showed promise. Like, we can't be faulting these guys for picking Ben Simmons to be like LeBron James or Lamar Odom when he actually came in the league and was producing at that rate at first. We can't fault them for that. We can't fault them for that.
Okay, I get it. You can see where at the beginning of his career this would have kind of made sense.
Yeah.
You can also see right now why it's completely wrong. And in his
yeah,
draft report, spot on about some. some things. Despite being a good scorer, he lacks a reliable jump shot. His form doesn't have any glaring mechanical flaws, but it's apparent that it's the one element of his game that he isn't completely confident in. And all those are right on point. Well, let's look where this draft report turns sour. These were under strengths. He's a hardworking kid, well-spoken, confident kid who apparently has no trouble being a vocal leader and a strong communicator. Level-headed, mature kid who seems to battle through adversity with ease, does not lose his cool or get down when things get challenging. All right, I'm done. I get it. It would have been hard to see all those things coming for Simmons, but this one's just too good looking back on. 2017 was a busy year for failed draft reports. We had Josh Jackson getting compared to Kawhi Leonard, Donovan Mitchell thought to be the next Norman Powell.
Norman Powell is crazy.
Planning on being the next James Harden. If you watch Josh Jackson's game for about a minute and a half, I could see the Kawhi comparison, especially to him early on. But if you keep watching any longer than that, then obviously it's completely off. So they must have come up with this one after watching a hoop mixtape. Donovan Mitchell surprised a lot of people and really only
I thought he was gonna be Norman Powell. That's crazy.
I could see some aspects of Norman's game in Mitchell, so I guess I get it. Then of course no one could have seen Markelle Fultz's self-destruction coming. It's crazy that he was getting these kinds of comparisons too. Was living the dream and got to be picked first overall and then just never had a healthy season in the NBA. And now he could still become a great player one day, but he'll never be first overall pick college level Markelle Fultz again. 2018 was a little interesting. Mo Bamba was another guy that was thought to be a potential big star. So much so that he was compared to Rudy Gobert.
Ballin', a young nigga phone.
And the fact
was Ali with the motherfucking dog. I be ballin' like a motherfucking pro, I be ballin' like my nigga Mo Bamba. That
Mo shot 40% from 3 this year is something to really keep your eyes on. If he keeps progressing like this, he could start making some noise. And of course, the infamous one in 2018, Doncic was compared to both Hedo Turkoglu
because he's foreign. Because he's foreign.
A stretch 4 type
That's
guy
funny.
Just had good handles. Well, a better comparison now would have been a cross between Larry Bird and LeBron James.
That was.
He's not that good, but he has that type of style, especially.
Is he not that good? So wait, is he not that good? Because Larry Bird is. I mean, Luka Doncic over Larry Bird, bro. That's all I gotta say.
The league was weird.
That's all I gotta say.
That he'd be pretty good, but he's coming from overseas, so they didn't know.
I mean, he was a top 3 pick.
Other people saying that he was gonna be a real superstar right away. But then finally, for 2019, Tyler Hero was.
This video must be old.
Stauskas and Joe Harris. So basically, a guy that
a shooter.
Can some and maneuver around the court.
That's him.
Really well, and he destroyed.
That's literally him.
In his rookie season. I would do 2020 and 21 comparisons, but I still think it's just a little too early to overreact to a couple of these. I think it takes at least 3 good years to get an idea of who most guys will be. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, comment.
I did enjoy that video. Just to show y'all that I actually be liking people's videos and I just don't tell y'all to like just for me. I'm gonna like that video. Cause if you like the video, like the video. That's gonna do it for this one. I hope you all did enjoy. Let me know some of your NBA comparisons that you thought was gonna be great, but turned out to be a complete bust. Like I said, if you like the video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Peace out.